So the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali is more, and there's a lot more in there than just the eight limb path of, what's kind of laid out to help us along our yoga path. Um, Besides kind of laying out all the aspects of a yoga practice, there's a lot in there about how the obstacles that you come across and how to work with them, both mostly in the mind. There's very little said in the Yoga Sutra about the body. It's really our yoga practice, the asana practice, is just a tool to get us comfortable and aware and awake in our body so that we can do the deeper work of our yoga practice. So also to be clear is that when the Yoga Sutras was written, you know, 2,500 years ago or so, this is not a religion, but there's a deep spiritual component to yoga. And what I love about it is that wherever you are on the path of yoga, whatever you want to receive from your yoga practice, you can. If you want to just be able to touch your toes, then that's what you can receive from your yoga practice. If you want to learn how to connect with your spirit, or work with the trappings of the mind, all of that is available in the yoga lineages as well. So I think a lot of us come to yoga because of the mat, right? We find yoga because we want to learn how to move our bodies well. We want to feel more free in our bodies. We maybe want to learn how to breathe a little bit better. And then once you kind of discover, there's just so much more available. So if you've not read the Yoga Sutra, I highly recommend it. I would love to talk to, like I mentioned on Monday, of having a little book club around the Yoga Sutra. So anyway, if you haven't read it, I have a couple of good recommendations, copies that I've read that if you'd like a recommendation, I can give you. So what we're going to do for the next few weeks, probably it'll take us, is to kind of move through all the aspects of the eight limb yoga path. So this is not inclusive of the entire Yoga Sutra. There's so much there. We could study it for decades and still be learning. I am still learning. We all are still learning. But very simply, today we're just going to start with the first of the niyamas. So the niyamas are the kind of disciplines that we can cultivate within us. And this is really for all humanity, to help us free ourselves from the trappings of our mind and become capable of having a little more awareness and will and discipline, but also freedom from reaction. I think a lot of the time, so much of how we are in the world is reactionary or based on habit or based on conditioning. The way we think, the way we judge, the way we act, the way we speak, all these things are just kind of we are moving through the filter of our lives, so what we've been trained. And so the yamas really, and the yamas and the niyamas really help us to train the mind so that we have more freedom to choose instead of just have reactionary aspects of our day. So the first of, I'll quickly state all the yamas and then we'll get into one of them today. So ahimsa is the first one, and that's what we'll talk about today. And this just generally means non-violence. And the next one is asteya, which is a sense of not stealing. Satya, which is truthfulness. Brahmacharya, which is translated as continence, but it's really learning how to control the desire for excess. And aparigraha, which is kind of self-study and bringing everything that you're learning into a sense of letting go, where you can release to the higher self, and you can not have attachment to what you're experiencing. So non-covenantness, not wanting to have that sense of attachment and greed. So ahimsa is the sense of non-violence. And at first glance, a lot of these yamas seem very obvious. It's like, yeah, don't steal from people, speak the truth, don't hurt anybody. Like, these are things that we've learned, hopefully, throughout our whole lives. But it goes a little deeper than just the obvious of don't be violent with self or other. Really think about this beyond your habits of action and into your habits of mind. So there's much that we do in our minds that is very harmful to self and others. We judge ourselves, we judge others. We could have, if you heard what everybody thinks, right, all the time, there's probably a lot of hurtful thinking out there, and not the least of which is to ourselves. And sometimes we're not even aware that we're doing this. We have this layer of thought, and then below that layer of thought is another layer of thought that can be very judgmental. And we all experience it. This is normal. And our brains like to put us into boxes so that we have a sense of organization around, this is good, this is bad, this is going to help me, this is going to hurt me. And this is a safety mechanism of our primal brain. But we can evolve beyond that to a place where we can start to loosen the hold on what these judgments have on us. So what I have done, and what I think is a really good way, is to take a bite out of the apple, and have that and chew on it for a while, and really just just choose one of the yamas. Today we'll do ahimsa, and maybe commit that through your day today, or maybe through the next few days. You have an experience of trying to understand how ahimsa is living in your life, in your mind, and in your actions. So what are ways where you feel like you could be kinder to the earth? What are ways that you feel like you could be kinder to your fellow human beings? Are there little acts of kindness that you can do to support? Like, my neighbor didn't shovel their walk last week in the terrible snow, and there's just been this ice. And yesterday I had 8 minutes between clients, but it was that perfect weather where it was shovelable, right? Like that ice could get picked up if it was done right then. And so I brought my shovel out and I just did their walk. And it's just like the simple little things that we can offer other people and to ourselves, that isn't just staying away from violence, but when you open up ahimsa, it's really about the gift of kindness and compassion towards self and others. So try to explore what these things mean to you. What ways do you struggle with ahimsa? Are there ways in which you can offer more self-kindness, more kindness to others? Okay, so let's sit up straight and tall and take a moment to find your body, find your breath. So the discipline of a yoga practice or any other physical practice that you have is this beautiful gift of kindness to self. Are there ways that you have shown up in your yoga practice that has created a little bit of aggression in your body? Have you pushed past boundaries in the past? Have you shied away from boundaries in the past? The sense of being aggressive doesn't have to necessarily mean going over. It can also mean I'm not going to get off the couch today, and that's not an act of kindness for the body to never move. So just pay attention here and now to what your experience of ahimsa is. Let's see if we can monitor our thinking as you practice. Are the words you say in your mind towards self kind? Do you have a lot of negative judgment about your body, about your capacity, about the way your mind works? Whatever it is, just start noticing. And when you notice an unkind thought, what can you do to acknowledge the part of you that is the judger, and then offer something different? Maybe replace with different words, offer an opportunity for curiosity of why or where that thought came from. So let's start from the top of our crown and move through your body, feeling a sense of ease. Noticing if you have aversion to any part of your being? Do you have an injury that you're angry at? Do you have a part of you that you feel like you've been betrayed by a part of your body? And when you get to those places, see if you can offer sense of loving kindness, compassion. Want you to place your hands over a part of your body that when you look in the mirror, you try to hide this part of yourself from others, from self. Is there, it could be anything at all, but there's probably some part of you that you don't think is your quote unquote best feature or better side or whatever. See if you can put your hands, if you can reach, put your hands on that part of your body. And just take a moment to recognize the conditioning that has led to these judgments. Maybe the history of your body that has led to these judgments. Now turn your palms into little energetic balls that can offer deep love and support. So anything that you have cast out, welcome back in. Whatever this is, let's appreciate something very unique about this part of your body. It could be something internal that you can't touch. Maybe you're just in the general area of the body. Maybe it's your skin and you can touch it very directly. Whatever it is, let's have deep gratitude for whatever the function of this part of your body is, part of the whole, and its usefulness and beauty for you. And then release your hands. Place your hands in the center of your heart. Bow in. Set an intention around Ahimsa through your practice and your day. How can you discover this vow of non-violence towards self and other beings in both thought, word, and action? Okay, let's release the hands and let's find our way onto our backs on our mat. Okay, so as you come here to your mat, maybe there's more than one part of your body that you kind of have a little bit of a tricky relationship with. So as you find them through the practice today, let your practice be about self-care, nurturing, self-compassion as much as you can. Let's treat our bodies with utmost care and respect for the temples that they are. All right, so reach your arms overhead. Let's extend and lengthen the right side and the left side, feeling that opening. Sense of awareness, a sense of coming home to your body. And then when you're ready, knees into your chest and rock a little bit from side to side. Okay, so notice, see if you can really be aware of your thinking mind as you practice. Obviously, we're going to be in our body, but a lot of times we can have thoughts about our movement patterns, about our capacities, about our ability to breathe, our ability to follow directions, our ability to touch our toes. Okay, so whatever your judgments are, start to uncover them and notice.
Okay, let's circle the knees, moving one direction, moving another direction. Sometimes the himsa can be simply allowing yourself to take a modification in your practice, or change your practice. If that, what I'm offering on tap today is not right for you, do you give yourself permission to follow the lead of what your body needs? Let's open your knees away from each other and move toward each other. There might be a time when all you want to do is lie on your mat, and that's what your body needs for a given day. Can you give yourself permission to follow the needs of the body? Right knee in, left leg long on the ground, and go ahead and roll about in your feet. And just feel, notice what it feels like to have that sense of mobility and freedom. Feel the extension through the spine, a deep hugging in of your knee. Change sides when you are ready. Left knee in, right leg comes long, feel into that movement again. Breathing well. And so let's reach that leg out, starfish your body out. So a big giant X on the ground. Reach into your fingers and toes. You can roll your wrists and your ankles. See if you can feel right to the edges of you. And then on your next in-breath, stretch out again, reach. And this time hold your in-breath and just squeeze every part of you to kind of wake up and enliven different parts of your body. And then let that go and bring your knees into your chest, pick up your head and give a little hug. Try to release your head down, stretch out again. No holding breath this time, just a big breath in to expand and a breath out to condense. Release your head down onto the ground and put your feet wide to the edges of your mat. Let's windshield wiper our knees left and right. Practice is going to be fairly gentle today. Those gray skies outside, I don't know about you, it makes me feel like I want to stay down on the mat a fair amount. So if you feel like, being crazy adventurous, ignore me. You can, do whatever you want. So right thigh over your left thigh and draw your knees in. Feel that sense of a little bit of stretch in your hip. Notice what your back feels like. So if you're super roundy in your back, see what it feels like to maybe dip the bottom of your tailbone down. So there's that little gap under your low back, wide sit bones, heavy head. Okay, stretch open. That doesn't mean we're not going to move our bodies and we're going to just stay down on the ground, but a little bit more gentle today. Cross left thigh over right thigh, knees into your chest, and feel the work of opening this hip. Dip the tail, feel the curve of your lumbar spine. Relax your head and shoulders. Breathing well. All right, let's go ahead and release that. 2 feet onto the ground for a moment. We're going to do some moving bridges. So feel the 4 corners of your feet, give them a good weight into the earth. We're going to inhale to lift our arms overhead and lift our pelvis up. And as you exhale, lower your arms and your pelvis down. So I'm going to turn because my hands get stuck with my couch. So whatever movement you have available to you, let's find the lift of the pelvis, the arms come overhead, and the drop of the hips and the arms down at your sides. Okay, twice more. Use the breath. The breath is one of our best guides towards self-awareness as well as self-compassion. Whenever we feel reactionary, where we want to lash out in aggression toward others, our breath is one of our most best, that's crazy to say most best, but definitely most best guides, right? So if we can learn to just pause and breathe before a reaction erupts from us, we can often nick things in the bud or cut things off at the past that we would regret saying or doing. All right, relax your whole body down onto the ground. Melt. You can straighten your legs. Have just a couple of breaths of a deep melting into the earth. When you feel ready, roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. All right, so as you find yourself on all fours, let's start to move with breath. Cat cows, rounding and arching the spine. Take the pattern of breathing that works for you. Remember, our practice is really geared toward just awakening the body and preparing the body so that we have freedom. All right, so what about this posture makes you feel free? Are there little hints that arrive in your body of freedom? Okay, so let's wag the tail. Feel free to move your spine about. Okay, you can move your ribs, move your shoulders, move your head. So let go of attachment of what you should be doing and feel into this sense of dropping some weight. So feeling like you have the capacity to soften and sink and yield. And at the same time, you have the capacity to open and find that freedom. All right, eventually find your way into child's pose. Settle your hips toward the heels and rest your head. Breathing deeply. Let's walk our hands over to one side, either way, whichever way you want to go first. Drop some weight into the hips. Feel the head relax. Let your brain rest into your skull. Let it rest on your forehead. Lift up the breath. Let it open. And let it fully out as well. Over to the other side. Are you still speaking kindness? So see if you can have that little awareness of any judgments that happen through your practice of, I wish I could do this. I wish I looked this way. I woulda, coulda, shoulda in the past. All the ways in which we can subtly berate ourselves. Now you're all by yourself. But notice if this has ever happened in yoga class when you've been with other people. Do you ever have comparison of self to others? Look what I can do that they can't do. Oh, I wish I could do what they could do. All right, let's come up into dog pose. So this is one of the joys of that quieting of the mind that can happen when we are alone. So enjoy the fact that nobody's here with you. So if your clothes are not fitting right, or something's just a little self-conscious, let it go. See if you can rest and melt through your skull. Your eyes are soft and heavy. Breathe in and feel yourself move. You can pedal your feet if you want. You can be very still. There's no prescription. Just find whatever's coming naturally. And walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Melt the head. Feel free to shake your tail. Inhale for a halfway lift. Get the spine to grow. Maybe you're starting to be aware of different parts of your body. Can you feel your hamstrings and your calves open up? Is there a little space in your spine here? And melt and fold. Let the head relax. Neck is soft. Again, halfway lift. Spine gets longer. Stretch the backs of the legs. Exhale and melt to fold. Drop your seat. Rise up. Okay. Coming up to stand. Reach the arms up and over if it feels good. A big cactus through your arms if you want. Feel that sense of squeezing the back body. Okay, and then release your hands down. Give your hands a little bit of a shake. Okay, up again. Open chest. Exhale and float forward. Relax your neck. Halfway lift, extending through the spine. Let's step back to dog pose. Okay. Find the breath, hands down, feet down, extend through the body. Start to breathe well. Slow down the breath enough to get your exhales to guide you into a little bit more relaxation. Maybe you want some open mouth exhales. Maybe the exhales through your nose, whatever feels the most releasing. When you're ready, come forward into a plank. Let yourself steady here, integrate. You can always put your knees down if you need to. Find that sense of support in the center line of the body. How's your breath? Where is your breath going? All right, find the ground. Roll the shoulders a few times here. Feel how mobile things can be. Rise up to cobra when you're ready. Exhale and melt again. Now let's lift up. Maybe you'd rather have your arms wide. Maybe you'd rather have your hands in cobra. All right, and then release and melt toward the floor. Come up onto all fours. Move about your spine. Okay, wag your tail, cat cows, anything that serves. Reach the left arm up in the air. Exhale and slide that shoulder down underneath so that you feel that twist. Let your head be neutral. Drop some awareness into your skull. Let it be heavy. All right, come semi out of it, halfway out of it. Chest facing the floor. Stretch the outside of the shoulder. And then when you're ready, arm coming up. Hand coming down. Second side, lifting that arm to the sky. Exhale, sliding the arm under. Gaze toward the ground. Feel that sense of freedom in the back body. Breathe well. Inhale, reach the arm up. Hand comes down. Curl your, I forgot, come out of there, halfway. Sorry about that. Feel the chest expand here. All right, and then now come lift that arm to the sky. Hand comes down and dog pose again. See if you can stretch open the bottom of your feet and your hands yield into the ground. Open things up, return to the beauty of your breath. Right foot comes forward to a lunge. Stretch open the heart, feeling your breathing. All right, well, let's find our way into some extension of the leg. And then the bending of the leg. Now, when you do this, breathe. The most important thing you're doing is breathing well. All right, let's rest the back knee down onto the ground. You can uncurl your toes or curl them, whatever feels good. Hands on blocks or ground. Just feel into the hip flexor stretch. Make sure your back knee feels okay. You can pad underneath it if you want, or you can lift the knee up off the ground if being on the ground is not helpful. Rising up, feel the reach through your left arm, reaching it up and maybe a little bit over to the side, feeling that beautiful stretch in the side of your body, the front of your hip. And then we're bringing that forearm to the knee and keep your other hand on your thigh, right hand on thigh. So you're lifting and extending through your spine. Hug to the midline with your inner knees, with your inner thighs. All right, and then release your hands down. Come to the inside edge of that right foot with your hands. Lift your back knee up off the ground if you want. You don't have to. Full breaths here. And then we're going to turn to the long edge of your mat and find a wide-legged stance. Okay, so you can come low to the ground with your head. You can put your hands on blocks. So anything that you want. There's no rules about how deep you need to go in this posture. Feel the thigh bones move back to big open space. Relax your belly for a moment. Let it totally fall. Give all the room for your internal organs to have so much space. Now let the diaphragm move into that space. Big wide breaths. Melt your head. And then come back to the front of your mat and bring that front leg back for dog pose. Full breaths here. Extending spine. How are those exhales? Start to elongate as best as you can. Left foot coming forward when you feel ready. You can put your hands on the blocks or the floor, whatever serves. And we're going to start to bend and straighten that front knee. So as you move, remember that we're guided by breath. Nothing happens without our breath leading us there. All right, and when you're ready, back knee comes down onto the ground. Okay. See what it feels like to have this sense of openness through the hip flexors. Maybe climb up onto your knee with your hands. Maybe reach your arm overhead. Maybe a little bit of a reach off to the side. Okay, just find what feels good. We're going to cross that forearm onto your knee. Your left hand is on your thigh to keep the lift of your spine. Notice if your legs get soggy. See if you can hug to the midline. Press your front heel down onto the ground. Feel that support of your lower body. How's the breath? These, and bring your hands to the inside edge of this left foot. Okay, back knee can come up off the ground or leave it there. Chest is broad. Feel that deep compression in the hip. All right, and begin to straighten your legs again. Turn to the long side of your mat. The legs are wide. You can put your hands forward like dog pose. You can put your hands in between your feet. So find the pathway that's right for your body. Breathing well. From here, we're going to take a twist in this position. So you can put your hands on a block if you want. So left hand on the ground, right in the center, or on a block, your choice. Bring your right hand onto your hip or in the air. Okay, just finding that little bit of resistance that the twist gives, and then breathe into that. And then back to center. Change sides, other arm up. Full breaths here. And then relax. With your legs still wide, turn your toes out and come down with your torso. But we're holding on to the inner knees with your arms. So press your inner knees away. So a deep, wide squat. Drop some weight into the four corners of your feet. Extend through your spine. Breathing well. Come all the way up to stand. Standing star. Take a deep breath. And as you're ready, exhale. Downward to the goddess. Inhale. Rising back up. Close your eyes if you want. Feel the energy movement of this down vayu. You know, the Apana and Pana vayus. We're now lifting up. One more time. Now stay up there, breathe. Bring your arms out to the sides, turn your feet to the right. Parsva Konasana, elbow on your knee. Stretch your arm overhead and feel the fullness of that long line in your body. A big breath here.
back up. And we turn our feet the other way. Ardha Uttanasana on this side. Bend your knee, elbow on your knee or hand on a block. Feel that full extension through the left side of your body. Round your legs, root into your feet well. What can come alive in this pose? Press your feet, feel your hips work. Let your neck and shoulders relax. Can you feel the fullness all the way from your fingers to your back heel? How's your breath? Come back up. Turn your feet straight forward again, toes turned out just a little bit, arms up. Exhale. Now lifting it up. We're gonna go over to one side, over to the right. Bring your arms over, bend your knee, cross over. We're gonna do this 3 times each direction. So here's the second pass. Put your arms anywhere you want. Pause at the top. And then go the other direction when you feel ready. This pose does not have to be really deep. Just go where your body can sustain. After 3, pause at the top and then turn your feet straight, hands back down. This time, if you can rest your head on something, that would be great. So you can put your elbows on a block and your head in your hand. You can stack a couple of blocks on top of each other for your head. However far you go, see what you can rest. If you can rest your head on something, that would be good. Feel the inversion. Rest your head. We'll spin back to the front of your mat when you feel ready. Coming into that sense of expansion and space. And then find your way into child's pose. Take your knees as close or as far as what you would like to rest upon right now. Breathing well. Okay, so come on up. We need some blankets. We're going to do a couple of restorative forward bends. So first we're going to start with pigeon pose. If pigeon pose is not your favorite, go ahead and do reverse pigeon pose. If you need support, you can take a blanket or a block, whichever way is helpful to you, and find pigeon pose, right leg forward. So as you come into this posture, notice if you end up like this, where you're kind of leaning on one hip, square your hips as best as you can. So that's why the support underneath that hip can be very, very helpful. And when you come down into this posture, have something to rest your head upon. Your head might make it to the floor. Your head might make it onto your fists. Your head might make it onto a block. All right, so try to feel into the 2 different aspects of this pose. Obviously, it's a big hip stretch. So, feel into that your body be supported and then melt into that as best as you can. But also feel the surrender of your mind. This is an inversion to some degree. Our head is dropping down, it's a forward fold to some degree. Our head is dropping down. So just sense into that quality of surrender that those types of poses give us. Melt the jaw as best as you can.
One might even say that the tension, the unconscious tension that we tend to harbor in our bodies is an act of violence within us, subtle. Obviously, I think violence is a strong word because when we use that word, we think of, something that's very damaging towards self or another. But think less on the pendulum, even ways that you grip and guard and hold tension. Or is it serving you? Or is it hurting you on some small level? When you surrender the tension, is there something that frees up in you? Can you feel that the opposite of aggression sometimes is freedom? And does this give you an awareness of peace? Is there something positive that comes from melting a bit of tension? Sometimes guarding is a good thing. Sometimes guarding is our way of self-protection. But a lot of times this is just patterning that is unconscious. So bring to the light any subtlety of freedom that you can access in your body. All right, let's go ahead and find our way moving into the second side when you feel ready. So you might go to dog pose in between, you might just sit up, you might be choosing a different pose on this side. Maybe you could do pigeon on one and reverse pigeon on the other. So whatever is happening, see if you can get the sense that we are surrendering. So even if you're on your back, obviously you don't get that forward fold kind of vibe, but you can rest your head. So resting the head is the key here of being able to give the sense of surrender into the pose. Now to let go. Now to let go. As you feel ready, come up and out of that posture. We're going to eventually find our way into sitting on a blanket, on the edge of a blanket. We're going to come into Janu Shirshasana. So you might need a strap for this pose. You might need a block. We'll see what you need. We're going to take first just a strap, if you have one, around your legs for just a moment of Paschimottanasana. Lift through the spine. Feel that sense of dropping your femur bones down. All right, and as you're ready, let's transition this into Janu Shirshasana. The left knee bends, the foot is on the inner thigh. If you need a block, you can stick a block underneath your knee. If your knee is a little troublesome, this can be a great way of supporting it. You don't have to put a block there unless you feel like you need it. The strap can go around your foot. You don't have to use a strap. You can have your hands next to your leg on the ground. So however you want to, whatever props you have, whatever way you want to do this, we're going to inhale to lift up. Feel the extension of the spine, the drop into the femur bone, and then lean forward to the place that's comfortable for you. Once you get to your zone where you're not breaching barriers, where you're respecting your body, we're going to drop your chin toward your chest. Just feel that line of the back body open a little bit more. From here, we're going to switch legs. So just put the other foot in the strap. If you're not using the strap, that's fine too. If you need a block, stick it underneath that knee. If you don't need a block, let your leg be. Feel the lift of your spine. Have your toes pointing straight up toward the sky. Ground your femur bone. And come forward to whatever place is the beauty of the pose for you, where you are coming to an edge, but not crossing an edge. It's very easy to cross boundaries of your hamstrings. Let's not. Let's just protect and respect. Okay, drop your chin toward your chest. Feel that sense of ease. Once you're ready, let's come out of there. Okay, we're going to sit on this blanket, cross-legged, and twist, just a simple twist. Grab onto a knee, lift the spine, and come the other direction. Maybe a seated cat-cow, just to get comfortable. We're going to sit here for a moment. So make sure you're in a very happy, comfortable place that you can sustain for a few minutes. You can change this position. You can lie down, you can sit up on a chair, you can change the way you're sitting in this on the floor, however you want to be. We're going to do a little bit of Tonglen. So this loving kindness meditation, I think think about, you know how when you're feeling a little negative and then you try some gratitude practices where instead of kind of going into the what's wrong, you lean into the what's right, what's going well, and have deep gratitude. And it can shift your mind, right? It can shift your mindset. So we're going to do similarly for this aspect of ahimsa, nonviolence. If we find ourselves judging self or judging others or coming into that place of, feeling that pull toward aggression or violence, sometimes offering compassion and loving kindness can be a balm to kind of bring up in our bodies and in our minds and in our hearts this capacity for love and care instead of aggression and violence. Okay, so we're going to practice this in a non-traditional way. I think all of you have done Tonglen with me before. So first, just get comfortable. See what it feels like to relax your face. Remember those little pockets of tension or just little bits of self-aggression. See if you can release as best as you can. Feel the freedom that replaces that when you release tension. And in particular, open up the heart space. All right, so very first, we're going to breathe in something of self that you are struggling with. Maybe it's a self-judgment that you've identified through our practice today. Maybe you can breathe in the way this is a self-harm. And you can breathe out a deep sense of loving compassion towards self. Can you treat yourself with the care that you treat the person you treat the best in the world, whether it's your children, or your partner, or your grandmother, or your dog? Can you treat yourself with that much respect and care? So on the in-breath, take in and notice the ways in which you self-judge and self-harm. And on the exhales, offering your loving kindness to self. then we're going to move on to someone we love very dearly. It can be your pet, your child, your best friend, your partner, your enemy, whoever your person is. Usually, somebody we love very much also annoys us at times, right? Or we have a struggle, we have resentment, we have these difficult emotions that can be part of this relationship. So whatever you are struggling with or have in the past struggled with this person, whatever judgments you have toward them, whatever ways in which there's discord, breathe that in, acknowledge, be aware, breathe that in, and notice what that feels like. Okay. And when you exhale, we're going to offer our loving kindness, our compassion. So on every inhale, you're acknowledging the discord, whatever ways in which you judge this person or animal or being, whatever fault you find with them, the thoughts you have in your head that are unkind toward them, even if you don't speak them, the ways in which you could change them. Anything that doesn't allow you to accept this person or being. And when you breathe out, there's this deep sense of acceptance, deep sense of compassion. Feel the tenderness of your love. Right. Now we're going to go to the super challenging one, which is doing this with someone we really have a struggle with, someone we argued with intensely, someone who has harmed us or we have harmed, someone who, the scale of ahimsa has really been difficult to maintain. And this could be somebody that you know well, it could be somebody that you don't know well, that you just, had an altercation with. So whatever has harmed you or other through this relationship, let's see if we can acknowledge, be aware of the suffering for self and other that this has caused. And see what you can do on your exhales, that there's a difference between offering compassion and letting someone harm you or letting you harm them. So can you separate the difference between condoning a bad behavior and accepting the capacity for compassion? All right, so let's filter out our ability to recognize the humanity itself and other and breathe into this. See if you can allow compassion to take root. Remember, when there's discord or altercation between two people, there's two people. So, or maybe more than two people. So offer the compassion through yourself, for yourself, to this other person as well. If it's someone you have harmed, can a bit of your compassion be about asking forgiveness? If you have harmed, or sorry, if you have been harmed, can you offer forgiveness? See if you can marry the energy of letting go, which is what forgiveness really is,
to compassion. Okay, now let's release that. And lastly, for the last couple of breaths while sitting here, breathe in this sense of kindness. Think whatever erupts in you first, when someone has been so kind to you, when you've received an act of kindness from a stranger or someone close to you, breathe that in, know the feeling of what that gives and offers to our world when we are kind, when we are generous, when we offer ourselves freely. See the feeling of that. Just breathe it in. Feel the connection, the elevation of spirit. All right, let's find our way onto our back for Shavasana. So if you need a little pose to release the seated posture, like a happy baby pose or some rocking or twisting, you do that. If you are cold, get warm. And if there's anything that you need to support you for Shavasana, take it. See what it feels like to melt your body once you get into a place where you're resting. Can you feel into the heaviness of your limbs? Remembering your head as part of those limbs, the heaviness of your head. Again, scan your body for pockets of tension. Release them as best as you can and recognize that releasing tension is an act of self-kindness. And what takes its place is usually ease or freedom. This is a gift. Allow yourself to receive.
slowly. Within our breathing. Start to notice. You can, as you find your way coming out of Shavasana, stretch your body in a way that feels good. You can wiggle your toes or stretch your extended stretch. Let's eventually find our way to bring our knees into our chest. Rock a little bit from side to side. All right, rolling over onto your side, coming up to a comfortable seat. See in your day or in your coming days if you can start to bring awareness to the ways in which your mind has acts of judgment, the ways in which you tend to react. What are your triggers where you react into a slight aggressive thought pattern towards self or other? And then similarly, can you offer acts of kindness to self and others? And these can be acts, but they can also be thoughts. Can you offer your attention, your focus, your energy to others in a kind way? Also to self. So let's start here. Place your hands. As we do at the end of every class, send forth your energy to someone that needs your care. Offer your kindness, your loving kindness, your compassion. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.